Nana one, the Black Madonna one, Nimrod and his mother. I mean, it's always all the storylines. Jesus and his mother, Cleopatra and her son. It's always the mother-son concept. But it seemed like to me some kind of way they reversed it and made it father-son. They took the mother out and then put the father-son concept and the breastfeeding connection. Could you go in a little bit on that, the mother-son concept? Go ahead.
That's where you get your Masonic Lodge, mother and son, mama trained the son. So in these depictions of this imagery, the woman breastfeeding the infant, but the father is always counseling a child. He's not never breastfeeding, right? He's standing either next to him or he's standing, kneeling down to talk to him. In our culture, the Roman culture is a little different. It's freaky. It's male on male freaky, right? So the original was the birth of Earth's great defender, Heru. Heru's status as the prince who's the heir to Osiris's throne, but there's one problem. His uncle Set is in the way. So Set in the way becomes Satan's way. So now he got to figure out, as the infant to the great mother, how do I get my mama her proper position back and take my father's throne as his redeemer? I had to get rid of Uncle Set. So we waged war, the Falcon, against Uncle Set, which is really the armadillo from the south of the United States, but that's a whole nother thing. The war between Horus and Set is a war for the throne of Osiris that Set usurped, right? So who Set usurped means under something, Big Mama Seat. Do you know somebody who's sitting under Big Mama Seat, Elder?
The Pope.
The Pope.
Yeah. Peter's chair. St. Peter's chair.
Yeah, but St. Peter's chair is at a whole nother church.
Yeah. Go ahead. Break it down, right?
They use that because Peter is Pater and Pater is Father. So the Pope is holding Big Mama chair for his father, Set, that set him as a Jacobin, an underminer, under her throne to put the circle around the throne to block her from getting back to her seat. Right? So they show you the conjure magic part of it with the 72 stars in the uterus of the Great Mother. Right? But here's the part, if you notice at the beginning, she's not dressed like she from Egypt. She's not dressed like she from Rome. She dressed like Queen Califia.
Hey, this is what I want to ask you too about okay, so we know about the mother and son going down to like the Mason son, the breastfeeding. The Pope is really going bowing before the mother and son concept behind the closed doors. Now this so we going into the closed doors. Now recently the Pope just opened these doors. What's your take on that, man? Because everybody got a different perspective on it. But what's your perspective on what the Pope got going on opening these doors? Is it the end of the church, or is he opening up some portals? People asking all these questions. What is your take on the Pope opening up the portals?
The first part, I wasn't the Pope. I don't know who that dude was. Pope a whole android. It's two popes. The other Pope, let me see, you got, was it Francis and Benedict, was it? Anyway, the one who was supposed to be resigned was the one who was left with the keys of power. No Pope ever resigned because he had to match the church order. They got a name of the last pope as Francis. Right? Francis is a robot. He been executed years ago for crimes against humanity and adrenochrome harvesting and child molesting. Right? He been gone. But that robot that they slide under the bed, they don't want people touching on him, so they have to hire an actor now. All that was is to give us the illusion that it's business as usual when it's not. Because they don't got no more power at the Vatican. The sacerdotal seat has been claimed by the Great Mother. Right? When you seen Empress Redbird go in Philadelphia and sit in that state seat, that was the seat of government for the tribes. The collective of the tribes, with no tribe being better than another tribe. So that all of their grievances can be addressed with equity, with no favoritism. Because ain't no big eyes or no little U's unless you under the patriarchy, where they make some people better than the rest of the people. Big Mama don't play that. Right? So when she sat in that seat, they knew it was over. They knew it was over then, because now they didn't surrender the foundational document that they wrote up for their conquest called a loyal title. They already had to give her that, and then she went and sat in the sacerdotal seat. Right? Now, when she did that, it's game over, but you have to give the people's mentality a chance to catch up to the tribal events that's happening, coinciding with the government's events. Counter conjure. They now is responding to us because the counter conjure has been exposing the tribal oral traditional takeover, with many tribes being involved, playing different parts of the redemption. Right? And it starts at 2012, what we call the long walk home or the journey home. I think one of Malachi's students named Mentuhotep was his name, who wrote The Journey Home.
I think that's his name, but I don't know for sure.
The Marcus Project, Journey Home.
Though, but I don't know.
He had to get that information out, right? Because at 2012, we needed to have a system in place in order for all of the tribes' leadership to have the opportunity to state their piece. Right? And when we go over the grievances of the varying different leaders, we find out why they in the condition they in, based on the war, based on the warfare that the people don't see. Silent weapons, quiet wars, world domination, warlords, violent whores. Blame the poor for trapping dollars on their own block, but the feds behind every single hot dope spot. They rock our communities with political homicides, and these crooked cops is telling us we need to law abide. But then they cover up these socially secret ass bastards, but the public can't see because they all good actors. Lifejackers putting babies in the state pen, getting raped and turned out by some grown ass men. The wrong that they in deserves hell's full fury, a black mass execution without a fucking jury.
Hey man, my next Rock, I got a list of questions, and these some hot joints, man. The next question we have for you, brother, is that we know that they told us that they brought us over here on ships. Shout out Dame Calloway, man, because we got that. I got that book. Story was told in reverse, in the covering on things. Hey, but we know that they told us we came on ships. Now, what was the ideology behind twisting us around to tell us that we came on ships if they really like the real guys that came over here? Go ahead, Rock. Could you go ahead on that?
That's the conjure side of the war. That's the George Washington challenge, remember? At the end of 200 years, they supposed to have us so confused to believe that we from somewhere other than here. If we fall for it, they assert this is their domain and part of their territory, and they'll seize it because we surrender it. But if we know we Mississippi clay dirt walking, they screwed. Right? So they told us the story not only in reverse with false information, misinformation that served as a misdirection. Right? Truthful and factual information gave by unreliable sources. Fictitious stories with laden with truthful concepts, ideas, and statements. Right? When you get there and understand in the zig and the zag, then you understand how they flip when they roll. All of it is a David Copperfield grand illusion called the 3D Matrix. And as long as you keep falling for the Agent Smith effect, you're going to be continuously a slave for the Matrix. But you're about to get a rude awakening.
Hey, my next question, we'll take questions from the crowd too, but I'm gonna get these off because these are good questions. My next question is, man, the maps. Man, I'm like the maps. I got this over 1,000 maps of the earth and where shit located. But it's like somebody telling us, oh, Egypt over there, Egypt over here. Oh no, that's over there, this over here. It's like they twisted us around. They told us in reverse.
Right. That's why they named all of these cities with biblical names. Right? Because we supposed to believe that we the people from the Bible when the people in the Bible is made up people. Right? If you believe that you a made up character from, let's say, Gorillas in the Mist, Jane Goodall out there with gorillas, now all of a sudden she claims she's a gorilla. Now make her a gorilla. Right? They becoming part of the systemic closed minds. Like them horses downtown pull the carriages. Most people don't know this, but if you take a fully visual horse and cover his eyes up, he'll stand in one spot till he drop dead. But you got the horses downtown with blinders on going wherever he's led. How did they do that? By gradually closing the blinders in until the horse vision was so narrow, he no longer relied on it. And then you cover his eyes up. Now he gonna go wherever you lead him because you've been leading him as he was going blind. You his eyes now. Right? That's what they doing to us with the systems. But this is all war. This warfare that most people can't see.
Hey, my next question we have for you, brother. The next question we have for you, brother, is, man, I'm starting to think that they might have transported whole tribes to other whole continents to this RT. They went as far as that to because it's certain tribes. If you look at the diagram and the geographical location of those people, then you saying, damn, and then if you figure out how many people they exterminated their tribe, and then you saying, damn, because they tell us a story about a John Hopkins. You ever heard that story that Elijah Muhammad tell about John Hopkins taking slaves? And then I think Doc come behind him and says that, oh yeah, well, he took a Pacific tribe. He went after the Afar people. So do you think that they could have possibly with the Smithsonian Institute, Horace Greeley, Walter Plecker, all this different, the paper genocide, do you think they could have went as far as to relocate? I know they did the Trail of Tears and all that. That was relocation. They relocated a lot of us on this point.
Look, a lot of people think they came from Africa. That was from the South, came from New York, okay, Delaware, New Jersey, in ships that they took around the coast around Florida as what they call prison vessels. They was floating prison vessels because they didn't want to release them back into the territory they was from because they was too strong. If you caught one of them, you hold him, you ship him down there. right? A lot of what they telling us was the slave trade, was the shuffling the prisoners around from the war, right? They got a whole map called the North American slave trade, where it show you the ships moving on the land from one part of the land to another, transporting people. Hold up. Pull up that picture I sent you, and I'm gonna get this map and send it to you.
Just now?
Yeah, I sent you a picture.
See, I'm
in
about to
text.
let's see, how can I pull it up? Okay, hold on. Let me see, can I load it up on there? Okay, there's this picture right here. Let's see, can I get it on there, man? If it'll let me do it while we live here. Hey, y'all. Matter of fact, while you doing it, I'm gonna run this other clip, man. It's another clip that we can run. Hold up. We're doing it while I'm trying to get this pulled up. We trying to make me want to log in, then try to do it, but it won't let me do it. The picture of the map just sent me, and the picture of the that thing.
Can you pull up Google?
I'm saying that's what I was gonna just tell you. Let me try to do it on Google. So what's the name of that picture?
That's a Columbiana Statue of Liberty. Columbiana Statue of Liberty. Columbia, I mean Columbia. It's supposed to be Columbiana, but they want to. We get into that in a minute. But it's Columbia Statue of Liberty.
Another thing they did, Rod, that I asked you about is why would they tell us that everybody that was out? Why would they promote the white man is our enemy the whole time?
He was a cat's paw. He was Coach Severs, the fall guy, a stunt man. He was the same as the crash dummies they put in the cars when they do tests.
Damn.
He was the one that they wanted us to take all our aggression out on, and they was gonna pretend to be us while they take everything from us. That's what the study of Joseph Sinque's instructions versus Charles Manson instructions. Sinque was supposed to get an army of brothers when they taught him how to use those mind control techniques. And Manson was supposed to get an army of pale faces. And they were supposed to set off a great race war, right, that would distract us and activate what would later become known as Readiness Exercise 84, that was at that time known as the Lord Alfred Plan. Right? So that was going to be the cover story of the government to round up the chiefs they know as chiefs and execute them so that the great mother can't never get her seat back. When neither Manson nor...
That's the connection with the mother and the son thing.
Yeah, because the son got to redeem the mother. The son got to redeem the mother as the prince heir to the throne. Man. It won't let you go to Google either.
Nah, you think it's about to get up off Big Mama lap? Nah, I'm going to be able to do it. I'm trying to get that other picture so it won't freeze when we do it. When I do go to it. It's,
the other picture is called the domestic slave trade map.
Yeah, I got it. I'm getting it right now. So, hey, how long did it took them to come up with this slave narrative? Like, and we know we know it couldn't have been the white guy that came out with it because it's too clever. It had to be somebody that would be that would be able to try to outsmart us amongst us. It's too clever just for them to come up.
You got to remember. You got to remember the blueprint for it, right?
Go ahead.
It wasn't no white people in America before the 1600s.
Right.
So who was we fighting before the 1600s? Right. It wasn't until the 1700s that 1776 when they declared independence. Right. So where was the white people at? White people was a term in law. And it detail you who they is. We done went over that information already, and that nauseam. Right? So when you understand that the illusion was to make you think pale face mean white people. But the white people look like me and you, but they ain't us. But the black people, which was represented by black animal totems, black eagle, was the ones who was lost at sea. You can clearly see that she's from over here.
Go ahead.
Do that look like
you know what? They said that, look, when I go ahead.
You go ahead, Elder.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I say, you know what I found out? I found out that not only was Cleopatra was over here too in Georgia. It's a lot of stuff they like over in New York and Harlem. Harlem has been a matriarch center for thousands of years. That's what they ain't telling us. Like Harlem, like New York, Harlem. It's been a matriarch there. Like, you know, you remember Stephanie Sinclair, like even before her, like going back, like they said that Cleopatra was in New York. Like, and they telling us about Whale over there. I mean, they really twisted us around, man. They really twisted us around. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you have what they call victor's history and revisionist history and alternative history.
Go ahead.
The victor's history is what you call the standard narrative of control by the invader. This is what's going to be taught in your educational system, right? The political arena is to beef up the social interaction using politics as the medium. If it wasn't for racist, it wasn't for artificial racist politicians, people wouldn't even know what racism is. Right. Because people wasn't coming out speaking about skin color until the 1800s.
Right.
All of a sudden, after the war, 1812, skin color becomes relevant enough for them to use that as the standard bearer to separate the tribes. Right. Now, which tribes is fighting as those dark-skinned, nappy-haired totem clans that they call runaway slaves that came to help the Seminoles in the Seminole Wars? That's their story because they call the Gullahs Seminoles. Right. So that's how you know if the Spanish is telling the story versus the tribes. When the tribes identify that war, they call it the Gullah Wars. Pull up Queen Califia so they can see how she looked compared to that Statue of Columbia. This is the domestic slave map. Look at the years on there at the top.
I got you.
This is how they was shuffling us on the land, telling us we was coming from Africa.
Too.
Mm-hmm. This is how they was shuffling us around on our own land. So remember that game you used to play in elementary where you spin somebody around while they blindfold and they got to touch somebody and they be staggering trying to find their way because they dizzy. This is what they was doing to us. Spin us around with a blindfold on. And then, you know, so many tribes had their own language that some of the tribes from the north needed one from the median to translate the tribes' languages from the south. And then they moving us around like this on the land.
Now it makes sense. It makes sense because when you join the military, they do the same thing. When you join the military, they send you to a whole nother, like to the north. It's called disorientation. That's that's what Yaku said that they was gonna do, though.
Yeah, that's part of the technology to make you believe that you came from somewhere else. They take somebody back then from New York a Shinnecock, drop him off down here with in what would be called Texas now. They don't speak the same language, but they the same people.
Yeah.
And that's how they was telling them they from Africa when they was really from here.
Yep. Damn.
Now, ask yourself a question.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they keep record of this?
Man, yeah, that's a good question now. Why would the suckers who are out to do us keep record? Because it's got to be on record, right? It's got to be part record.
It's part of the record because you're looking at it.
Yeah, it's got to be part of the record. Of the
and it's not the only map and not the only time frame where they showing you this.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, now, the reason why they have to keep record, we got to have the right to discover what they did. So that when we talk to the other tribes across the land, they can understand the enemy was fighting and the strategies they used to us against each other. Mm-hmm. Once we understand how it work, it won't work on us no more. That's how you break the spell.
And then come to find out, the Africans, like a lot of the Africans, some of them came over here by themselves. They didn't come over as slaves. They sailed over here as noblemen. Not the dirty moves. Well, I don't know. I can't consider really Mansa Musa.
Well, you got to remember, before Christopher Columbus ever, I've been saying this since the beginning. We was already marrying in the royal families of the Americas with the African royal families.
Right.
But the purpose is blood diversification.
Go ahead.
The purpose of blood diversification is to reduce the risk of birth defects that comes with generation after generation of inbreeding.
Go ahead.
Right? So you have to get outside blood periodically to rejuvenate the blood with fresh blood.
Go ahead.
Right? So now you're talking about how royalty, that we knew how to purify our blood.
Go ahead.
By using the royalty of other parts of the world, because they all got a different genetic sequence. And when you add new genetic sequences to the blood pool, it reduces the birth defect because it's an ongoing forward progress.
Go ahead.
Right? Instead of tying the DNA up into knots by inbreeding repetitively with no fresh blood from the outside. That's the difference between how we lived as royalty versus how the Europeans raised under the Moors function as royalty. We didn't function the same. On the West Coast, we did the same with Asia. And that's why a lot of the tribes had hollow hair. That trait came from intermarrying with them, and that's called the Lee contract.
That's fun.
Because that was the name of the emperor that was first the general that made the agreement in order for the tribes of the earth to always be able to restore the balance back to the matriarchy. But we don't know this because we don't know our tribal heritage. But the elders in a lot of the families know that when they hear me talking, they know what I'm talking about. And now they can start to talk to the rest of their family about it. But before, it was a death sentence to discuss it.
Right.
So now I got to go find the domestic slave trade map, because I keep telling people they was moving us around on the land, but now they can see the receipt. I didn't make the receipt.
Go ahead.
You can go to Google and pull it up, and this ain't the only one.
Right. It's a fire receipt right here, bro. I ain't gonna lie. There's some stuff right here that like I had an idea about it, but now it gave me more of a visual on okay, the Atlantic slave trade really happened just on the coastline of Turtle Island. It ain't go some of it happened too. But a lot of the Africans, they saying they came from Ivory Coast, were settled over here by themselves. They wasn't even slaves, like Mansa Musa and Abu Bakr. They came over in 1310.
Okay, now look at the direction that all of the arrows is pointing. They all pointing from the north to the south.
Yeah.
By land and by water.
Now this another question I got while we got this map up. would it be safe to say this was done to the animals as well? That the animals got switched from land to land, like they took elephants from over here, and like I know some
All
of the
that
stuff.
happened. All that happened a couple, probably about a couple thousand years ago, when because the elephant originated over here in the Americas. The camel, all of those. That's how you know that the civilizations of the world spread from the Americas, not the other way around in the out of Africa story.
Right, right.
If you take the out of Africa story and point all of the arrows back to Africa, you'd be more accurate. It's told in reverse for a reason, because it's called disorientation. The map ain't even, the map is upside down.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Florida is the elephant trunk,
Go ahead.
but you can't tell because it's upside down.
Go ahead. That makes sense. That makes sense. They switched this shit around, the animals, and then I believe too, some of the food, like they telling us, oh, we didn't eat this, we didn't eat that, and y'all eat this, but it's a lot of things. I believe they switched around to where they telling us it's bad for us, but it ain't that it's bad for us. It's the way we cooking it. They reverse how we cook it. We didn't do grease. The French, they bought the grease over. These more, they bought grease and canned. I'm telling you, man, because I believe that food, like they saying that corn is acidic. But what did we use it for? Because it was native over here. Why would we create that over here? And then we never got no disease by eating it over here for
Listen,
thousands of years. Go ahead.
corn is a genetically modified wheat stalk.
Go ahead.
The reason why corn is an important staple is the same corn carbon is the carbon that make up the human.
Go ahead.
It's corn carbon specifically, no other kind of carbon. That means that the root base to the human constructions, first you had to have corn.
Go ahead.
We know corn is made, what it's made from, because you can do genetic testing on it to show where it come from.
Right. Go ahead.
Right. So how is it that the human is made out of the same carbon as the corn? Who made the corn?
Go ahead.
Right. Then you find out that the corn is originally native to the southwest region of the Americas.
That's right. And we ate it for thousands of years, no disease. Go ahead.
Then you realize why we had mass corn festivals. Corn is a symbol of prosperity to us.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
They want to move you far away from your culture as possible. We got all type of corn.
Go ahead.
Right. We got corn that resemble gemstones, all kind of stuff that we did with the corn. Purple corn, black corn, red corn, green corn, blue corn. We got it all, but you just only know about the yellow corn.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Hey, shout out Maria, man.
One of the names that they use for the colorful corn is they call it Indian corn.
Go ahead.
Right. And now when you look around the world, you find people holding what look like a pine cone, which is actually a corn cob.
Go ahead.
Right. Because they telling you with the caduceus, that's a DNA or genetic factor. So you got the twin serpents around the staff, and then you got them holding the corn. The two symbols is telling you that it's the genetic of the human.
Man, Rob, you just made me think about something else. In that papyrus, with Norma and the Twyman's walking, we got the apron on and everything. Them Twyman had corn. If corn is indigenous over here, how the hell the Twyman get it? If they telling us that Christopher Columbus is the one that took it over there. Now we can get into that.
Well, let's deal with that, because you also got pharaohs that has cocaine in their blood. They got tobacco. That means they smoked. And then they have strains of marijuana that was only found in the Americas.
Go ahead.
So that means that whatever the pharaohs was doing, they had a connection or a link to the Americas.
They said the finest weed in the world is in California. So you go out to California, to Khalifa land.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, but the
You
thing
can see
is,
if you could pull up a picture of Queen Califia so we can show them
go
that
ahead.
Olympia is just the East Coast version of a Califia queen.
Let me see. Can I find one that's close to that one? This might be a good one right here.
They don't have the exact same headdress, but when you zoom in, you'll see they similar. The facial cranial structure in the poses.
Yeah.
Now notice that she have her stick in her left hand, but Columbia
right
have it in her right hand.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you go to the Blue House in California, the Crips wear their hat to the left. But if you go to the Blue House in the Midwest, the folks who are from the Blue House wear their hat to the right. Right? That's because they're telling you about the windows. This is mirror flipping.
Hey, look. Yeah, go ahead.
If they was looking at each other, one was looking at the other in the mirror. Look, if one was looking at the other in the mirror, this thing in her left hand would be the same thing it would be in the right hand in the mirror. If the two was standing face to face looking in the mirror. Right. So it's the two sisters, the two Califia on the West Coast and the Columbia out of the DC district. They looking at each other to determine if we gonna return Big Mama back to her seat. And when they finally see each other energetically, Big Mama will have to have found her seat because now the mirror is clear across the land. Right? Now, who set the mirrors up? You remember the last video Tupac did?
Why it's frozen like that? Say it again, Roy. Cut you out on my side.
I said, you remember the last video Tupac did?
I was doing it. Which one you talking about?
How do you want it? You remember he took the baseball bat? Remember he took the baseball bat and broke the mirror?
Yeah. Right. It was the Moors that instituted the papal bull. You got to remember that they look like us.
But they ain't us.
But they not
and they know that. That's what the whole Jacob story is about. The supplanter. The one who come to undermine the organic Adama, the earthborn. He come to undermine them and replace them. That's how you gonna promise somebody a land that ain't yours? So he must believe he gonna win in the war.
Right.
That would give him the rulership of the earth. He lost. Now he can go sit on his fez and think about it.
And so the hardest part of hearing the truth is that it sounds stranger than fiction. But you know, if you're a philosopher and you think about life or things or the study of everything about life, I mean, it's got to be quite fascinating to teach this kind of stuff. I mean, this is...
I know sometimes when I first started and I used to be remembering stuff, I used to be like, how the fuck I even know that shit?
But you know, the stories in the Bible are all unbelievable. But in real life, the stories about the Anunnaki and Inky and Enlil and the Sumerians and Thoth and all of that is overwhelmingly more
sci-fi.
I didn't want to say that, but yeah, sci-fi.
It is. The science fiction is science fact.
Shit.
All of the stories has been being told to us, and the writers, the science fiction writers, who couldn't tell it as a news report, so they gave it to us as a story.
Right.
Science of the fiction.
I want to go back to Black Chief Rock's comment in the chat. He says the mother of, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, Zenson, but I was thinking the mother of Reascension, Chief Black Rock.
The mother of what?
Reascension.
Reascension.
Because we've lost that ability right now. It's time to get it. That's what this learning, that's what these builds and sessions are about. Opening up that eye, opening up and utilizing your whole body, all the contracts that are put together, your mind, body, and soul, spirit put together, so that you have the ability to ascend.
Another thing too, Rod, earlier back when we was looking at this blue and red veins going up the spine, and you was explaining all of that, that's some deep ass shit, because that's just at one level that shit like that is taking place. So as you would have rose up the spine, I can imagine the tills that you have for what's taking place in this structure. You remember when you talk about the red and blue veins, about the sperm going up?
Because one of them is creating the sperm from the left hemisphere of the brain, which is the father line. That's the blue line. And the other one is creating sperm cells with 2 X chromosomes from the right hemisphere for the mother line. And we put it together on the 4-corner shuffle.
Right, but that was just for that area of the back that was showing where the veins are. So as it goes up, isn't there like more things happening up that column?
Well, the column is like it's like the passageway to get the cell from the brain to the part of the body that it need to be in, the testes. But in the brain is where all of the construction take place. Like the mother storing genetic material or memory from all of her past relations, right? And she can also go into your sperm cell, read the DNA, and determine if you're going to produce birth defects when she in tune. Her body will tell her.
Right, and all of this stuff is taking place inside these internal wirings, or what we perceive to just be like veins and arteries.
These are well elaborately designed systems. The human body is
like bus lines for transporting data, and like on a computer.
Right. So the sperm come down through like a long tube from the brain. Right. Now, in that process, while they coming through the tube, they still growing. Right. They not done growing until they get into the testicles.
Okay.
Then the growing turns off until it's merged with an egg. Then it turns back on. Nuclear fusion becomes nuclear fission.
But it's not just merged with, I mean, the egg is not just merging with any sperm. Like The first one there?
She can, the egg will use chemistry and electromagnetism to attract the sperm cell that she's looking for.
Right, right.
The egg communicating with the sperm cells based on how it's programmed. It's looking for the compatibility of the program that it was given. And that's why women that's aware can develop geniuses by thinking about producing a genius. The problem is we don't want to put in the work to learn how to educate a genius.
Right. Well, it might not be, seem like you could start them on the right track with just a few powerful things being grasped, and then work the rest of them in. Like I'm gonna say again, when you was talking about the medulla oblongata,
Mm-hmm.
I would just think that that's like a stem cell, or at the back of your neck. I mean, at the top of your neck, just a area that's got the bundle of all the cells in the body being routed down the spinal column, or into the rest of the body.
No, that's not what the medulla is. The medulla is a balancing cylinder, right? That's why when you have vertigo, they check you for tumors in your medulla because it throws your balance off, right? Also, the medulla is a ball like a little bit smaller than your fist muscle bundle right under the actual brain, on top of the brain stem.
Okay, I thought I heard you say something earlier about that area, which is the medulla oblongata, having to do with again, like some special instruction somewhere. That's
No,
why
I was talking about.
okay.
I was talking about right under the medulla is the pons region of the brain. It's the brain stem.
Right.
That's right under the medulla.
Okay.